Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. So Tesla has a huge network of superchargers that only Teslas can charge at. And there's always been a little bit of confusion between how many superchargers there are, how much it costs, how much time it can take for Teslas to even supercharge at these superchargers in real world numbers. So in this video, we're actually going down to San Diego on a mini road trip from Los Angeles down to San Diego, which is gonna be about 250 miles round trip. So we're definitely gonna need a charge at a supercharger. And we're gonna dive into some actual real numbers that people look at between how much it's gonna cost, how much time it's gonna take to go from whatever percentage we're at to 100% so that we can get back on the road and back to our home. And what does it mean with all these different supercharger speeds in your area? Let's get into the video.
Just another sunny day in Southern California. It's where the people came.
Man, the sun is just really bright today. I could barely see anything. So we've been driving about 30 minutes now. We did leave with about 77% of the battery. We're down to about 64% of the battery, and we should arrive with about 32% of the battery, which is about 90 to 95 miles of range, give or take. So we should be able to hit a supercharger down there, charge up, see how long it takes, and see how much it costs to get enough charge to get back up to Los Angeles, which is another 100 miles. So of course, we just hit some traffic, actually in the Orange County area, not necessarily any traffic in the Los Angeles area. But as you can see, I pull up the map of California and there's a good amount of superchargers, of course, in the area of California. So at Tesla superchargers, there's about 3 to 4 different supercharging speeds that you can charge at. There's a 72 kilowatt speed. There are a few 125 kilowatt speed. There's a 150 kilowatt speed. And lastly, there's a 250 kilowatt speed, which of course is the fastest. The good thing with Tesla is they actually charge you by how much kilowatts is actually delivered to your car instead of how much time you spent at a supercharger. But there are penalties if you stay at a supercharger after you've charged up, and those can get pretty hefty. Currently, as of November 2020, Tesla charges you at about 36 cents per kilowatt, which that doesn't really mean anything to people that don't own Teslas. But let me show you a map of all the superchargers in California. But here's the map. You can see here, I'm gonna blow it up. There's definitely a good amount. All these little red markers are superchargers, but you can see on our route down to San Diego, we passed a couple from Los Angeles, but there's 1, 2 on the way, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 8 on the way down to San Diego. We're probably gonna stop at one of these 2 down in San Diego, but you can see like this one that's marked San Diego is actually 150 kilowatt supercharger, but there's only 12 stalls in that location. This one in San Diego Del Mar is a 72 kilowatt supercharger, so it's actually one of the slowest ones. And that one is a little bit too far in off our route, so it wouldn't probably wouldn't make any sense to go to that one. But you can see there's one in San Clemente that's a 150 kilowatt supercharger, and there's one right here in San Juan that's a 125 kilowatt supercharger. Unfortunately, there's not really any 250 kilowatt superchargers on the route. Oh, so there's actually not a lot of 250 kilowatt superchargers on our route. I do know in Anaheim there is a 250 kilowatt supercharger, but it looks like it's actually down. But I do know in Valencia there's actually another 250 kilowatt supercharger that you can stop at to charge up pretty quickly. So we just finished our meeting up in down in San Diego. We're gonna drive back to Los Angeles. And currently we have about 29% of the battery left, which is about 90 miles. On our way back to Los Angeles, there's a good amount of superchargers on the route, but I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna stop at this one in San Clemente because it is a 150 kilowatt supercharger. So it's pretty fast. But let's see what happens when we route back home to see which superchargers it wants us to take. So it looks like, yeah, it's gonna want us to stop at the San Clemente supercharger, which is about 40 miles away. And it looks like we're gonna get there with about 9% of the battery, which is about 20 to 30 miles, which is great because we're gonna charge from 9% all the way up to about maybe 80 or 90%. But we're gonna see how long the supercharger takes and to see how much it is to go from 10% to 80 or 90%. So let's get on the way and let's get to that supercharger. All right, so we're about 20 minutes away from the supercharger, or 21 miles, and we've passed the 20% battery mark. It's kind of interesting. Right when you pass the 20% battery mark on a Tesla, the battery turns yellow and it goes into this like low power mode, kind of like your mobile phone when you get to a low power stage. It turns yellow instead of the normal color that it's at. And so it basically alerts you that you have 20% of the battery left, and 20% of the battery is about 50 miles, give or take, at 3 miles each. So, but if you're driving at highway speeds like we are now, it's really only about maybe 40 miles at highway speed. So we're almost at the supercharger. Yeah, we're about 20 miles away. So we'll get there, we'll charge up to 90%, and then we'll be on our way. So we're about to stop at the supercharger, and if you don't know, with Tesla superchargers, information about Tesla superchargers are built into the system. Not only do they tell you what types of superchargers they are and how fast they are, it tells you how many stalls they have, how many stalls are available, and then of course like the cost, so to speak, of how much the supercharger is. And as well as like some other amenities like bathrooms, food, coffee, shopping, and Wi-Fi. So we're stopping at the San Clemente one, where I've actually been to this supercharger before. It's actually at an outlet mall, and the superchargers are pretty far away from like the bathroom or the food and any of the stores. It's a good 5 to 10 minute walk from parking at the supercharger to the bathroom, which is pretty nice. You get a nice walk, stretch your legs if you're on a road trip, and of course you get to use the bathroom. And by the time you get back, it could be 10 to 20 minutes and your Tesla might be charged already. So we're only 7 minutes away, so we'll get there, we'll charge up, and then we'll be on our way to Los Angeles. So you can see here are the shops for this supercharger in San Clemente, or at the San Clemente outlet mall. And then the superchargers are all the way in this back corner, kind of tucked away under on the first floor. So it's definitely a good walk to get all the way to this supercharger. But this is a pretty nice supercharger because it's a 150 kilowatt supercharger. And it looks like this one's gonna be pretty busy because there's only 7 superchargers available out of 21. So of course, supercharger etiquette when you arrive is you don't necessarily want to park next to another Tesla supercharger. You kind of want to give them some space because of how they share the electrical circuit or something like that, so that you can lose some of the power going to the superchargers. Okay, so we just parked. We got 12% of the battery left, and we are going to charge up at this supercharger. Just plug it in, and it will begin to charge. So let's see, even though it says it's a 150 kilowatt supercharger, sometimes you might not get to that full rate of speed. So let's see how fast of a charge rate we can get at 150 kilowatt. So yeah, it looks like because there's so many Teslas here, we're only getting about 63 kilowatts of charge speed, even though the maximum is 150 kilowatts. So this might actually take a while. So this is a pretty real world example of if there's a bunch of Teslas at a Tesla supercharger, you might not actually get the full charging speed that it's rated at. So this one's 150 kilowatt. There are other superchargers that are 72 kilowatt, and this is more in like what we would actually get at those superchargers. So it looks like just to get to 80%, it's going to take 25 minutes from 13% to 80%. In terms of cost, I imagine this is going to cost us about $14, give or take. But let's go ahead and change this display from energy to distance to see how many miles we get. So it looks like we're starting at about 38 miles or 30. So let's see at 80% what type of mileage we gain from that and how much it's going to cost. So basically we took a 15-minute walk to the bathroom and back, and we gained about 120 miles, give or take, at a cost of about $11.52. So at this point you could just leave, but of course this is not as fast as like a gas station or anything, but it's still fairly quick if you were to just like park at a supercharger, go to the bathroom really quick, and then come back to the car, and you still gain about a good amount of mileage, about 120 miles, give or take. Of course, we're going to charge to 80%, and then we'll be on our way back to Los Angeles. So we're basically nearing the end of our supercharger visit. We've been here for about 27 minutes, and we charged from 12% up to 80%, which gives us in real world about 191 miles, maybe even a little less, maybe 180 miles. And it's costed us $17.64 to really get us 191 miles, which is about a 9 cents per mile rate. But this is some real world numbers for people that actually don't have a Tesla, who are wondering like, how long do Tesla superchargers take and how much do they cost? So 193 miles added at about $17 or $18 is what it would cost. And it takes about 25 minutes to charge and give you about 200 miles of range. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm gonna go ahead and unplug it and then be on my way to Los Angeles. These are some real world numbers for people that are interested in getting a Tesla but are curious about the supercharger network, how much it costs and how much time does it take. But yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. Hit that like if you enjoyed it. Comment below if you have any questions on the supercharger network and how it works, or if you have any questions on this video. All right, guys, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.